So today we will learn how to model linear situations using an equation. And remember, the linear equation is y equals mx. We call this your slope. And that's, if you're doing a word problem, that would be things that are per something. Like, I'm going to charge you $2 per minute you use on your cell phone. Or I'm going to charge you $1 per item that you buy from the dollar store. So that's what goes there. And then B, your constant, or y-intercept. This would be, if I'm talking about a dollar store, maybe I stand at the front door and I charge you $5 just to get into the dollar store, no matter how much you spend. So that would be your constant. And then I charge you $1 per item, that would be your slope. So B is for things that don't change, it's a fixed cost. And slope depends, well, that would be like the price and stuff like that. So an example, Matthew works for a bank. He gets paid $80 for every day. Huh? So I'm going to make slope orange in our example. So $80 for every day. That would be my slope, right? And then how much money does he make after X days? Well, he only gets paid per day. And it depends on how many days he works. There is no fixed rate. So I would just say y equals 80x. Or you could put D for days, your choice, where x is days, number of days. Does that make sense? There is no fixed amount he gets. Either he works the day or he doesn't. Yes? Well, in this example, number of days, this would be how much money he gets, right? So if he worked one day, he'd make $80. 2 days, 80 times 2, 160. Does that make sense? So depending on the number of days he works, he gets paid each per day. I can't think of any jobs where you get paid by the day. Well, actually I can't. My job, I get paid by the day. Okay. Every day I make the same amount, whether I stay an extra 20 minutes or not. Okay. Mark is a writer. He gets paid $700 plus an additional $250 for every book. $250 per book. That would be my slope. And it says to make our variable x. That's why I chose x. So he gets paid $250 for every book he writes. And he gets $700. We'll let blue be our y-intercept. So that's my equation. No matter what, he gets paid $700. And then for every book he writes, he gets paid $250. So if he writes 0 books, he gets $700. Even if he writes nothing. If he writes 1 book, he gets his $250 plus the $700. If he writes 2 books, he'd get $250 times 2, $500 plus $700, and so on. John has 45 boxes of macaroni and cheese in his apartment. He eats 3 boxes every week. So which one would be slope, 45 or 3? 3. And if you're eating them, is that a subtraction or an addition? Subtraction. So I would say y equals negative 3x. Now how many boxes of macaroni does he start with? 45. Now you could write that as 45 minus 3x, which that's not the proper form, but it kind of makes more sense because you're taking 45 macaroni and cheese boxes, subtracting off 3 per week. Okay. So for this problem, I think it would make more sense to rewrite it as 45 minus 3x. I think it'll make it easier to think of because you're taking 45 boxes, subtracting off 3 every week. So how many boxes does he have left after 5 weeks? What would I do? If x is weeks, what would I do? Just to make sure we understand, x is number of weeks, y would be how many boxes he has left, right? So yeah, I would do 45 minus 3 times 5, which is 45 minus 15, which is 30 boxes. He would have 30 boxes left, right? 3 times 5 is 15, 45 minus 15 is 30. So John would have 30 boxes left. How many boxes does he have left after 13 weeks? Well, x is now 13. 13 times 3 is 39. 45 minus 39 is 6. So I would say John has 6 boxes left. Now skipping down one more problem. This says, how many weeks until he has 0 boxes left? Well, 13 weeks he has 6 left. So 14 weeks he'd have 3 left. So 15 weeks he would have 0 left, right? So I already know the answer here is 15. Because he's already at 6, and every week he eats 3 boxes. So week 14 he's at 3, week 15 he's at 0, right? But the way you would solve that is how many weeks will it take until he has 0 boxes left? Well, y is how many boxes are left. And we don't know how many weeks. Well, we do. So without even solving this, I want this to be 45 to get 45 minus 45, right? So 3 times what is 45? 15, right? So I would say it would take 15 weeks to deplete his macaroni stash, I guess. I'm guessing he's a college student. And by the way, there's not enough nutritional value in macaroni and cheese. Hopefully he's eating something else. You understand how I got? I could have moved this over to 3x equals 45 and then divided by 3, and I still would have got 15. I just did that in my head. It's 3 times 15 is 45, so 45 minus 40. And then how many weeks will it take until he has only 21 boxes left? Well, now y is 21. And this one you may have to actually solve when there's not enough room. Let's see, if I add, I could subtract 45 from both sides, right? I'm going to move the 3x over to this side. Subtract 21 would be 24. And then divide by 3, that'd be 8. So it would take 8 weeks. Bless you. So after 8 weeks, he will only have 21 boxes left. Anyone need me to walk you through this math here? Anyone? How I went from this to 8? Anyone? Huh? You guys have done this before, and we're leading up to revenue and cost and scatter plots. John has 73 books. Every year he gives 7 of them away. After how many years? 0 books left. And then it says, after how many years will John have 14 books left? And I believe that's the end of the problem. Just let me double check. Yes. So, orange, which one's slope? 7 or 73? 7. So I'd get y is negative 7x. And which one is the constant, the y-intercept? 73. That's what he starts off with. Me. You could leave it like that or write it as 73 minus 7x. So after how many years will John have 0 books left? I'd set y is how many books he has left. X is years, right? Every year he gives 7 of them away. Okay. And then add 7x to both sides. Divide by 7. X equals what? Well, 73 divided by 7. Are you typing it in? Huh? 10.43. So, I mean, depending on how you want to answer this, you could say around 10.5 years, right? You could just round it up to 11. After how many years? Actually, he's not giving out any books middle year. It's just 7 per year, 7 per year, 7 per year. So, in this case, because after 10 years, we'll have a few books left. We'll have 3 books left. So I'm going to round this up to 11 after 11 years. He will have 0 books left. And the reason why I didn't say 10 is because 7 times 10 is 70, and he had 73, so he would still have 3 books left. So he'd have to wait a year before he gave away 7. He wouldn't have 7 to give, he'd only have 3 to give, and then he would be to 0. After how many years will John have 14 books left? Well, y equals 14 now. Maybe subtract 73. (14 minus 73 is what? Negative 59. Negative 59 divided by negative 7 is 8. $8.43. And again, 8 years, they'll still have more than 14 books left. So I would round that to 9 after 9 years. We don't know enough about John. Maybe he gives out, if he gives out 7 a year, maybe he gives out 1 every other month or approximately, but we don't know. So I'm just going to round up. But for sure, after 9 years, and usually they make the problems where it comes out to a whole number. Mary loves tofu. Anyone else in here like tofu? Tofu? Anyone? I don't either. She already has 11 packages of tofu at her house. She also buys 3 more packages every week. So she's stocking up. Write an equation to model the amount of packages of tofu she has collected over the weeks. Well, what's the slope? Is it 11 or 3? 3, because that's what she's buying. She's buying 3 more every week. So I'd say y equals 3x. X would be number of weeks. And then how many packages does she start with? 11. That's her constant. And then the question is, so X is weeks, Y is how much tofu she has, packages she has. So how many packages does she have after 20 weeks? Well, X is 20, so plug it in. $20 times 3 is 60, plus that 11 that she already had would be 71. So 71 packages of tofu. Miss Green grades many English essays. She has a total of 136 essays and grades 8 every hour. Writes an equation modeling the amount of essays she has left after X hours. I could tell you, probably spend longer than an hour for 8 essays. It takes a lot of time to go through and mark it up, and you did the wrong word here, wrong word there, add a period there. I am glad I'm not an English teacher. Which one would be slope? 136 or 8? Yep. She grades 8 every hour. So X is going to be hours. And then what did she start with? 136. She has a lot of students. Maybe she made her students write more than one essay. Now, write an equation modeling the amount of essays she has left. Well, she started off with 136, and every hour she's going to get rid of 8. So I actually need to put a minus sign right there, a negative sign. She's grading, and by grading she has less to grade, right? So how many essays does she have left after 8 hours? X is number of hours, Y is how many essays she has left. So 8 hours would go into X. So that'd be negative 64 plus 6, which is 72. So Miss Green would have 72 essays left to grade. She spent 8 hours grading papers, and she still has 72 essays to grade. Poor lady. When will Miss Green be done with grading essays? In other words, when is number of essays 0? So I'd set this equal to 0. I'm going to move the 136 over and make it, actually I'm going to move the 8x over, make that 8x equals 136. Divide 136